Hey everyone, so in this tutorial I'm going to show you how you can knit your very own headband, and you can also use this technique to knit a circle scarf.
La mélancolie m'envahit l'hiver quand je scrute les feux qui éclairent l'univers. Il brille, scintille, illumine mes rêves dans la voûte céleste où les ombres s'élèvent. Là où je vogue vers des contrées lointaines, là où je m'évade des contraintes humaines.
To start, we're going to tie a double knot around one of the knitting needles, and typically you're supposed to use a slip knot, but I found it easier to demonstrate using a double knot. I'm going to explain this in greater detail later, but with this knot, we're actually not going to knit it. We're just going to pull it right through the needle when we get to it. So now we're going to cast on, and we do this by wrapping the yarn once clockwise around the finger and then slipping it onto the needle, and this creates a stitch. So for the headband, you're going to want to create about 13 stitches, and if you want to create an infinity scarf, you're going to want to have about 30 to 40 stitches. So the more stitches you have, the wider your headband will be, or the wider your scarf will be.
Les flammes s'éteignent, alors s'exhume l'astre qui me consume. Pareil à un âtre qui ardent s'allume, une fragrance fugace.
So you're going to be holding the needle with the stitches in your left hand, then you're going to take the right needle and slip it under the left needle, and then you're going to take the yarn and wrap it over the right needle so it's in between both needles, and then you're going to tuck it underneath the stitch and then bring it over so you create a new stitch on the right needle. So we're going to continue this step until there are no longer any more stitches on the left needle. And remember in the beginning how we used a double knot instead of a slip knot? Well, when we get to this knot, which is at the bottom right now, we're just going to pull it right through the left needle. We're not going to knit it, but this is only for this instance. Every other time you're going to knit every single stitch.
Je regrette les jours fugitifs d'osmose quand nos existences se fondent en symbiose, quand elles s'unissent sans contrat ni clause, quand les roses rouges sans crainte éclosent. Mes pleurs déplorent la mort des amants qui ne s'attirent plus, comme deux aimants qui ne s'amusent plus, comme deux enfants complices insouciants de jeux innocents. Et le puits tari de sa quintessence n'abreuve plus les flots de ma renaissance. Ma plume se dessèche, mais les mots fusent quand ils commémorent le deuil d'une mue. J'immortalise dans ma poésie l'aurore exquise où s'esquisse la vie quand je fuis les nuits, où règne la peur et que lentement jaillit la chaleur.
Sur Cytheres
m'enivre le vin qui coule de son cœur.
sur la terre,
Je cherche en vain la précieuse liqueur.
sur Cytheres
J'écris des poèmes pour ne pas périr.
solitaire.
Que vaut la bohème privée de ses rires?
So now we're going to measure the band around the circumference of our heads and make it about 2 inches smaller because it'll stretch. Once you've achieved your desired length, you want to cast off, and this is the process of basically closing off every stitch. And you do this by knitting the first 2 stitches on your left needle. Once you've done that, you're going to grab the bottom stitch on the right needle, then pull it over the top stitch and then drop it. You're going to continue this process until you have no more stitches on the left needle.
La mélancolie m'envahit l'hiver quand je scrute les feux qui éclairent l'univers. Il brille, scintille, illumine mes rêves dans la voûte céleste où les ombres s'élèvent. Là où je vogue vers des contrées lointaines, là où je m'évade des contraintes humaines, là où je vole dans des cieux spirituels où la volupté demeure éternelle. Alors ressuscite les heures éphémères, celles où le désir m'attire universitaire, celle où le plaisir accapare mon corps avant de s'enfuir.
Now you want to loosen the last stitch and pull out the needle, and then cut about 4 inches of yarn, and you're going to want to pull this yarn through that last stitch to create a knot and secure it.
M'enivre le vin qui coule son cœur. Je cherche en vain la précieuse liqueur.
Cut off the excess pieces of yarn.
J'écris des poèmes pour ne pas périr. Que vaut la bohème privée de ses
The final thing you want to do is thread your needle, and typically I'll go for a color that's the same as the color of the yarn I used for the headband, but black is all I had at home. So you're going to want to put the 2 end pieces together and then just start sewing. And you may want to do this process twice just to ensure that the band is really secure.
de sensuelle salve, elle m'assène de douces caresses qui s'épanchent, telles les vagues lascives d'une tendre avalanche. J'entends à nouveau les mots qu'elle susurre.
And we're done. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial.
Empire des supplices, mais elle m'a rendu l'infâme liberté lorsqu'elle m'a quitté. Elle m'a acquitté.
Sur Cytheres.